What's up, guys? Get this all synced up. And let me get Tim in here. What's up, Jerome? What's up, Andrew? Oh, man. There we go.
What's going on?
What's up, brother? Can you hear me
I
good?
can hear you good. Yeah. You got me?
Yeah. I just had to talk to this guy at the gas station and make sure I'm cool parked here for a little while. It's a road all American, guys. I'm on the road. But yeah, let me real quick just pay some bills. This episode is brought to you by Lion Energy. Make sure you guys check them out, lionenergy.com. I'm running the UT 1300s this year, and I'm running the Safari in the truck to power my boat. Basically, to charge my boat every night. I charge it from the Safari. It's a solar power generator. You stick a solar panel out, top off the generator, and you're good to go the next day. You don't have to worry about wonky outlets at a hotel. And then also, ROKFORM, they've been with me since day one. Make sure you guys check them out and use code DMiller25 on your next iPhone or smartphone or Android case and phone mount for your bass boat. Make sure you guys check out the twist lock. That's the mount I'm using. Hit a stray roller at 65 and don't have to worry about your phone go flying. But yeah, all right, let's get into it, man. I got the New England legend, Tim Dube on. And I just gotta put this out there first and foremost. Tim is one of the nicest guys. Like, and you hear people say this about people. I'm being for real. Tim is one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my entire life. Like,
Well,
hands
I
down.
appreciate that.
Yeah, it
You
definitely,
know,
man. Stellar dude, stellar
I just
reputation too.
like catching bass. That's the
Yeah,
biggest thing. And don't we all just love catching some bass?
yeah, that's the whole thing. So yeah,
So,
so I had the pleasure of getting spanked by Tim at the St. Lawrence River. So it was a Bass Nation event. I was on a state team. He won the regional at the St. Lawrence, making the run to Clayton every day, catching the giants off of beds, and then you went to the nationals.
and that was
And
at
that
Pickwick.
And then what happened at nationals? Because I want you to tell the story because I don't want to butcher anything. But what was the deal
Well,
with
well,
Pickwick?
we're 1 year off from when some magic happened. So I went to Pickwick, and first time ever going down there, and fishing in Alabama is completely different than fishing anywhere else in the rest of the country. And I struggled. Like, I was catching one or two bass and sun up to sundown practice days, and I was like, this is not gonna be good. And it wasn't good, but I had a great time, and I didn't even make the day 3 cut for nationals that year. I won on Ontario or at St. Lawrence River, but it was a taste, and it was like I need to get back there.
Yeah.
And so that was the first time like I met Will Davis Jr. in Pickwick, and awesome, great guy. And then I sucked. That's what it came down to. I did horrible down there. So then I had 19 and a half hours to drive home and think about what I did wrong. And then the following year, made it to the Potomac. I didn't win it, but I was the best one from the state of New Hampshire. And from the Potomac, I went to Lake Hartwell, and I figured out something the second day of practice where I don't think there was anyone else doing it, because it's not what you should be doing at Lake Hartwell at the end of October.
Sneaky
And
stuff.
not even sneaky. It was fun stuff. Big line, big weight. I was throwing a jig on 17-pound test in 8 feet of water to 8 to 12 feet of water for spotted bass. And if you do any research on Lake Hartwell at the end of October, you're throwing the top water, you're fishing cane piles, you're doing all sorts of funny stuff.
Yeah.
And none of that worked out for me. So I went to the bank. I said, well, back home, let's go to the bank. And I went back to the roots of how I grew up fishing, and well, they were there waiting for me, and I think I was the only one doing it. So I ended up finishing second in that tournament to Will Davis, and he told me before we even weighed in, he's like, no one else caught them, so if you caught them, he's like, you're going to the Elite Series. I'm like, no, you're gonna win, because I knew he had a bag, and he goes, no, like, you're gonna finish second, I'm gonna win, but you're gonna go to the Elite Series. And I was like, I don't think so. Like, that's not how it works. Like, you take the spot. Well, they give me the classic plaque, and I'm over the moon at that alone. That's my childhood dream, was always make the Bassmaster Classic.
Yeah.
Make the classic. I walk off stage, and the vice president of Bassmaster, Chris Bose, walks up to me and says, "Hey Tim, Will's already in the Elite Series. Would you like to fish the Elite Series?" And that's how it started.
And then butterflies kick in.
Oh, the butterflies! My knees got shaky. I had to find somewhere to sit down really quickly. All your childhood dreams coming true like instantly. Going from I made the classic on the highest of highs, like this is unbelievable, to now I get to do this full time. Like this is a dream come true. Um, but little did I know how much actual work it takes.
Yeah.
It is more than a full time job.
Yeah, it is.
Fishing the Elite Series. But I enjoyed this whole year, and I don't know how much you want to get into it, but I'd love talking about it.
Yeah. No, I definitely we'll touch base on some things. I was watching a podcast. I think it was Zaldane's or something, and the guest he had on was like, yeah, Tim, I'm buddies with Tim, and like all the like infighting or something in the Elite Series, and he was like, yeah, Tim looks over at me and goes, is it always like this or something? I was cracking up. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, it's a little bit like a high school at times out there.
Yeah,
You,
it's awesome.
you never think it with a bunch of grown men, but that's we're all competitive. We all have a lot of our own money in the pot.
Yeah,
so
that's for sure.
It gets competitive really quickly, and it gets feisty. But I always say, I go, I'm Switzerland. I'll be right in the middle on every single thing. I'm not getting in the middle or in between two things. I'm not going hard left or hard right. I'm just gonna stay right in the middle when it comes to bass fishing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it's like that. It's like a little high schoolish too. Like every level, the local level with nation, the state team deal. They don't have the state teams anymore, but the BFLs. But we're all like, I like to call it like, hey, look, we're all coworkers.
Yeah.
Like we're a bunch of coworkers. We're like one big family, and every family has that one drunk uncle or one cousin that does something sketchy, or like we're one big family.
Yeah.
It's like for everybody. At the end of the day, I think pretty much everybody looks out for everybody, and everybody gets along at the end of the day.
I
mean, there might be.
Agree. I'd even say, like my whole rookie year has been absolutely unreal. All the guys on tour are more than helpful, and more than accommodating and willing to talk to you and be like, hey, you probably shouldn't have done that, but this is how you should have done it. And really, it's a business out there, but it's all professionals out there. It's really nice where I feel like sometimes back home it's kind of more cutthroat than it is even out there.
Yeah, Neil Talento just chimed in. He saw you kill it. He was on the state team with me at the St. Lawrence.
Yeah, that was a good derby. That was fun.
I don't have as good a story as you. With the second year, because like that run, I went to. Let me recap St. Lawrence. I practiced like little bit of everywhere because I do have a little bit of experience on the St. Lawrence from doing BFLs and whatnot up there. So I kind of like practiced everywhere, and I was like, all right, I know the bed deal is going to be the thing. And I had some beds, a couple areas, and when I went back down there on day one, most of them were empty.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like in panic mode. I caught fish, like I plucked a bunch of beds, and I was like, this ain't working. This ain't gonna work out. And I let my there's some beds that had smaller fish on it. I let my get his limit, and then we hightailed it back, the long run back to Waddington. And then day two, I was like, you know what? I'm looking at the weights. I'm looking at what other guys have. I'm like, I'm just going to save the gas. I'm not even going to make the run. I stayed in Waddington, and that was it. And I was like, I'll take the L,
Yeah.
whatever. And then the following year, one of the BFLs, because like my goal is the All-American. That's what my goal is. Like that's what I want to get. And that's my carrot right now in this like pursuit of a full-time fishing career kind of thing. The All-American's my carrot right now. And BFL took priority over like a state event.
Yeah.
So I couldn't make the state team in that direction. Then there was the 2-day. And I like missed it by like a place or second or like one or two spots from making the cut for the 2-day or for the team from the 2-day. Like, damn it. And everybody was like banking on it. Like, all my friends, everything, because like down on the Potomac, I got like five or six top 20s down there, and it's all like one more fish like would have been the winning
One
fish,
more.
you know, like
one away.
4.5 pounder. So I'm like really close on the Potomac several times, and I was banking on going there for the regional, and I'm like, damn it, because I was like really wanted to make it, and that was and I didn't know at the time too that was the last year they were going to do the state teams, so kicking myself in the rear even more over that whole season, and it is what it is.
You gotta chase your dream.
Yeah,
you gotta chase the dream.
Yeah.
You know, and we're an All-American. That's a very hard term to get into by itself.
Yeah, and
there's unbelievable
the hard
payouts. Yeah, yes, absolutely.
The BFL route is the most difficult route to go. Like you could go the TBF route, or you could go the wild card route. They're all equally hard. Like
it's hard to get there.
You know, you still got to go out there and catch them.
Everyone that's in the All-American belongs to be there, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you've earned your way. And same thing with the Elite Series. Anyone who's in the Elite Series has earned their way to get there.
Yeah, that's for sure. Shout out Mark Menendez. He just joined. What's up, Mark? Yeah, no.
I'm sure he's watching.
So a lot of my followers are like the blue collar guys. They might only get to go out fishing once all summer, right?
Yep.
Like, what's your go-to bait? Like, if you were to recommend a bait, somebody was like, "Hey Tim, what should I catch? I'm going to this pond. There's a lot of largemouth. What's the one bait that I need to have tied on?"
I mean, if you're gonna cover a lot of water, which is how I start always, I'm gonna look at watercolor. If it's pretty clean and it's earlier or later in the year, I'm gonna have a 1/2 ounce Thunder Cricket on. And if it's dirtier, I'll have a green pumpkin or a blue craw. I love a blue craw color, especially later in the year when this crawfish is starting to molt, starting to get more blue into them. And I'll put a rage craw or a rage bug on. That's what I'll start off with. Start off with something that I can cover a ton of water with, try and break down the pond, or the lake, see kind of where fish are and see what they're telling me. But definitely Thunder Cricket's going to be the first one. Now, if I get a couple short strikes where they're coming up, kind of nipping the bait, kind of knocking the vibration out of the blade, something like that, now I might follow it up with a jig and slow down the presentation, maybe more finesse, even the drop shot, because I don't care what part of the country you are in, they will eat a drop shot. Every single place. It does not matter. They're super pressured. They're not pressured. They love drop shots. It's a great presentation, but I like, especially largemouth, I'll put a 5 or 6 ounce filler worm on, something like that. It's a little bit longer of a worm, something that floats, to have a real natural presentation to it.
All right. So you're going to throw cricket, jig,
drop shot.
But the desert island bait though, like that's, you got the follow-up baits in there, like the father with like 5 kids, he only got 1 rod and he wants to go catch them. Going with the thunder cricket.
No, I mean in the spring and in the fall, absolutely. But 1 rod the entire year, I'm throwing a half-ounce structure jig with either a rage craw or a full structure bug on the back, because that jig will go through rock, it will go through wood, it will go through weeds. It's one jig that kind of does it all, and it's not tungsten, it's lead, so it's more affordable than say throwing $8 out every single time you make a cast.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say probably half-ounce jig, 100%.
All right.
That's what I'm going with.
That's what you're going with.
Yeah.
Half-ounce jig.
Half-ounce jig.
Either
blue craw or black and blue.
All right. Black and blue is there was many years where you like ask anybody that won a tournament, you'd be like, what'd you catch them on? Black and blue craw? Black and blue jig?
Yeah. I think Denny Brower said it. I don't quote me, but he said something along the lines of, my favorite jig color is black and blue because it wins me the most green, or something like that. He said something along the lines.
That's a good one. He knows a thing or two about throwing a jig.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
I'd love to take him out for a couple lessons, or get some lessons from him, but I don't think he's doing that anymore.
Yeah, so mine was last year was a Mojo rig. That was like my desert island. Like I need to put 5 in the boat, and there's grass around. I'm throwing a Mojo rig with like a finesse worm.
Yep.
Like 3/16 weight, peg it, rip it up, and let it fall, flutter down. Because that thing just gets bit, and it's the presentation. Not a lot of people throw. Everybody throws a Carolina rig, but nobody really throws a finesse version. But then I didn't really throw it a lot last year. But even though that was my recommendation last year, it didn't call for it. So this year I switched it, 3/8 bladed jig, black and blue, or some type of like bluegill variant in a color.
Yeah.
It really depends. Like if you're on a lake and there's a lot of bluegill, I go with bluegill, especially if there's perch too. There's perch. If you're throwing out a rooster tail and you're catching perch, or like not rooster tail, like a blue fox or something, like in the early spring,
something like that, or
something, like, because we back home, that's a little secret too for you Candlewood guys in the spring. If you don't know about that, the inline spinners, number 3, think of number 4 too, but number 3 on Candlewood in the spring, they eat that thing. Those smallmouth, you're throwing that at like 4 or 6 pound mono or fluoro, and you lay into a 5 pound smallie on that thing. It's
eventful.
They're fighting it like it's a spinnerbait. Neil said he likes the number 4. Yeah,
number 4.
Number 3 or number 4. Either one of those, you're gonna get bit in the spring. But yeah, if you throw those on your home fishery and you catch bluegill or perch or something, then you could bet money on a bladed jig or thunder cricket and some type of bluegill pattern. That's my call. That's my choice.
Yep.
Plus, I think you're gonna get. I think the fish that are. You ever catch like a big perch, like a real big perch, like for no rhyme or reason? You're just fishing, you catch like this massive, or a crappie or a bluegill.
Yeah.
Whenever that happens to me, I always say, okay, I want to catch what's eating these things. Like that's the deal. Or like a big white bass, the white perch.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Smallmouth love hanging around those big yellows and those big white perch.
Yeah.
They love
that's for sure
being on the outside of them.
Yeah, and then you go like something tidal too in big largemouth. That was deal. That was the deal this year. I won the lunker on Toyota. It cost $613 or whatever it was.
That's
a
giant.
On the Potomac. Yeah.
That's a giant.
It sucked though, because like the whole tournament, all I caught were 14 1/4s, and it was 15-inch limit. Like, no, I just need a limit. Come on, guys. I got the the anchor already. It was like the second
You,
cast of the day too.
you got the star. Now you just need the supporting
Yeah,
cast.
exactly. Oh man. So New Hampshire,
Yep.
Winnipesaukee.
Winnipesaukee, Squam, Newfound, whole lakes region.
What's your favorite lake in New England?
New England?
Yeah, like in because you're like a hop, skip, and a jump from Maine, and there's a lot of
I
cool
mean,
lakes in Vermont too.
I mean, Champlain would probably be it if you consider Champlain New England, or do you consider
No,
that
no,
outside of
no.
there?
Yeah, outside of Champlain, outside of
Okay.
like lakes
Um,
that the pro series is the pro series is. I don't even know if that's a word, but the pro tours don't go to
Winnipesaukee, hands down.
Winnipesaukee.
Yeah. The last 3 or 4 years, the largemouth have absolutely exploded. You're catching giant largemouth now. Every single tournament if you want to have a lunker largemouth, it needs to be at least 6, and sometimes over 7. Um, the smallmouth are getting bigger as well. It used to be, 18 or 19 pounds for 8 fish would win a tournament, and now you need 25 to 28, sometimes even 30 to win an 8 fish tournament. So 3 pounders are great. They used to be gold. Now they're great. But you still need a 5, 6, 7 pound largemouth and maybe one or two of them. And it's some of the most fun fishing you can have. You'll go out and catch 100 smallmouth. The water's gin clear. If you guys haven't fished it, it's gin clear. You can see bottom in 20 feet, and it's a lot of fun.
I've yet to fish there. I got to get up there. You
Come
have to take me
in
out.
the, you can come. Oh, I'll have to charge you for that. No. Yeah,
Double.
springtime and the fall. Summer can be great, but you're going to be dealing with a ton of boat
Yeah.
traffic. Everyone said when I fished Smith Lake this year, like, oh, Smith Lake, July 4th week, boat traffic's going to be horrible. Well, Winnipesaukee has way worse boat traffic than Smith Lake. So our boat traffic is probably some of the worst in the country, I'll say that. But the spring and the fall, you don't have to deal with it because it gets cold. And it's cold out, and no one wants to be out there. So that would be the time to come, from April till May, halfway through May, and then get back out there after September, and it's a blast. So many fish, so aggressive, and you get out on those deep smallmouth schools, and half of them act like they've never been caught before.
That's awesome. Yeah, the lake that I like up in Maine, Cabasacante.
Yeah, that's a
Have
fun
you fished that
one.
before?
I
It's so
have
far.
Lakeside Cottages. Shout out, that place is awesome.
Lakes and what is it, Winthrop, right?
Yeah,
Is it Winthrop? Yeah.
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 Uh,
We get a little. It's cool. You got the dock right there. You just like park your boat, tie up, go to your cabin, hang out, do a little cookout, whatever. But that place is stellar fishing, man. I really like that place.
has a bunch of grass, bunch of milfoil. You can do whatever you want there. You can throw a chatterbait, you can throw a jerkbait over it. It's a lot of fun. But they also have massive pikes, so you
Yeah.
have to be really careful if you like expensive swim baits, and keep them close to the bank with those.
I caught a giant muskie. My buddy Jim was with me one year. This thing, it had to be the biggest muskie I ever caught in my life. I didn't weigh it or anything. It was in the middle of a tournament. I wasted time, but I was throwing an 8XD and just cranking along, like it was like a drop off, and the bottom was like it's kind of like a do nothing area, but it was just hard bottom. And
Yeah,
that was like what I found them relating to that at that time, was just like anything that was like hard bottom. Didn't have to be rock. They were just kind of like roaming around. So I was just trying to cover water in all these different spots that looked the same, but it had to be like shallow water nearby. Like it couldn't be
yeah.
like out in the middle of the drink. And I was cranking along, and it was like didn't move. I'm like, I got something. It's not moving. And all of a sudden, like
You're
just
like, yeah,
took off. I'm
that's
like,
not
you
a
gotta be
bass.
kidding me! Like chasing this thing on a trolling motor for 10 minutes. Gotta get my 8XD back. So,
You got it
but that
back?
place, yeah, I got
Oh,
it back. I
oh
caught
wow.
the fish.
Oh, you're lucky.
No, it was
A lot of
like one
times
of those deals.
they like taking them there.
Yeah, it was one of the deals where it was like just the rear treble was in his like lip. It was like just enough to
Gotcha.
keep him pinned. Like he didn't know he was hooked until like I started laying into him. It was like that wet paper bag
Yeah.
feeling. But
Yep.
then I didn't feel the head shake. Then all of a sudden he just took off. But that place, it's so much fun because you can even do the whole. See, I never really got on the bite there with like bigger smallmouth. But if you want to just go there to have fun, go fun fishing, like have a good weekend, that's a good place.
Oh, absolutely. It's chock full of largemouth and fishing. I'd say the fish are always aggressive in Maine. So
There's
I don't know if
another.
Tyler Williams will agree with that, but the fishing in Maine, they're always aggressive.
Yeah,
They never have a bad day.
I noticed that too. Flipping a jig around there, like around laydowns, it's like you'll know if they're there, like really
Absolutely.
fast. You could cover water and not be like, I didn't. You don't have to feel guilty if you didn't pick apart a laydown. Like you could just one or two pitches and you go to the
If
next one. Like
if you're not getting bit, you're not in the right area.
exactly. There's another
So
lake up in New England. One of my buddies goes to Bomazine, is it?
Bomosine, I believe.
Bomazine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's at the south end of Champlain.
Is that
That's like do you know who Jody White is?
sounds familiar?
He's a photographer for
Yeah.
MLS.
Okay. Yeah.
That's his stomping grounds. He is very tough to beat there, and again, giant largemouth, giant smallmouth. That lake is. I always drive by it as I'm going to Champlain, and I always say, "Oh, I'll stop there one day. Oh, I'll stop there one day." I haven't stopped yet. Maybe one day I will.
Yeah. What is it? That's Vermont, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's strictly Vermont, full in Vermont. Yeah,
Gotcha. There's
has,
another one like that outside of Champlain that everybody talks about. Schoon, Shroon, Shoon
I've
Lake.
Shoon Lake or something like that. Yeah, I've never been to that one.
Yeah, that they say it's like you could go there and catch 100 fish, no problem, but they're all gonna be 2.5.
Yeah, I can stay in New Hampshire if I want to do that. There's plenty of those around here.
I want to know why, like Champlain, the lake that it is, and like yes, Seth cracked a giant this year in the tournament, but I haven't seen a tournament in recent history where like somebody's caught like an 8 or like something big out of Champlain. There's been like years going back, like a decade plus ago. Every once in a while you'd hear about like, oh, somebody caught an 8 and change, somebody caught 9, somebody caught this, somebody caught whatever it
Yeah,
was. But I haven't outside of that. What was Seth's like a 6 and change?
yeah, I was just
It wasn't.
6 something, but the biggest fish that was caught that week wasn't by an elite guy. It was by Bill Lowen's son off the dock that we weighed in at.
Really.
He caught a seven. It was like a 7.13 pounder off the dock that we all weigh in at.
Oh my. You know what's funny
Yeah.
about that? Because that's off
Y-
limits, so it has
Yep.
fishing pressure.
Yep. I'm walking in with my bag of 17 pounds on the second day, and he's holding up a 7 pounder. I'm like, man, what I would do for that one.
Oh man.
So, but yeah, I don't know why that is on Champlain. I don't know if it's a shorter growing season because it gets so cold, but it seems like those fish there, it's like the largemouth stunt out at like 4.25 to like 5. And it's very rare to catch one over 5, but there's a ton over 4.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the science is behind that, but I've noticed the same thing where it's like there's a ton, I think there's more 4 pounders in the mile on Champlain than there is in all of New Hampshire, but they just don't get much bigger than that.
Yeah. I don't know. Understand that. Like it, but that's like I'm saying, like more recently, it's like it's been that way. But historically, there's been bigger fish. I mean, even look at the Finger Lakes and whatnot. Like Cayuga's been producing mammoth
State
smallmouth.
records
Yeah,
and now largemouth.
yeah. Like, and then what's the other one?
Oneida now has gobies
Yeah,
in it, and the
now
weights are going
it's so
crazy.
fun. funny, like Oneida, like now with the gobies, like the smallmouth look like St. Lawrence smallmouth. Like
They're
they're like
turning into
muscular.
it.
Yeah, there's like look like they've been eating
Short
creatine.
and tall. Short and tall.
Awesome.
I caught a smallmouth from the St. Lawrence this past year, about a month ago, and it was almost 5 pounds, and it was 18.5 inches. Like it was just round. It was circular. Football.
Yeah.
More than the football. It didn't even look like a football. So,
So with the new schedule posted, are
yep.
there any lakes that you haven't fished yet that you're looking forward to? Is it like one catch your eye over another?
I mean, I always love going new places. And this year with this schedule, they picked a lot of places that the Elite Series haven't been in, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. So I like that because if you go to the same place every single year, you're going against guys that have 30 years of experience on you or 10 years of fishing this lake, 10 weeks of trying to, or I have a spot where I know I can go catch one right there because I found it in '07, and there's been one every single time I've been there. So I really enjoy going to new places because it kind of levels the playing field.
Yeah.
Bassmaster changed back their info rule, which I agree with, where you can't get any information. There's a week there where you could get any information you want until January 1st. That was reverted back. So happy about that. The North Carolina, I don't even know how to say it. There's a river in Albemarle Bay or something like that.
Yeah, that's like a title deal.
I love it. I love it already. Haven't even seen it, but I'm all over it.
I've heard good things about it. And shout out John Kelly. He posted the schedule, and Great Buck. Shout out Great Buck too. He was like, dude, you guys are gonna kill them there, crush it. He was like, there's never seen a tournament. You're the best of the best on the fishery. Like, it's gonna get interesting.
It's gonna be fun.
With that being said, when they went the first time they went to Oahe, I think where is that, North Dakota?
Yeah, or South Dakota.
One of
the two.
Yeah, it was like a clinic, but then the second time around, it didn't fish as good that it did the first time they went there.
Well, they launched on different sides of the lake, and so when they went back the second time, there's no gas on that lake, so you can't get gas and keep going. So all the places where a lot of guys were fishing the first time around, they couldn't physically get to the second time around because they didn't have enough gas to get back.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So they were fishing a whole different section of the lake up there.
So obviously the other section is better.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah, but I haven't been out there, but we're not going this year. La Crosse, Mississippi River,
Okay.
St. Clair. I mean, St. Clair smallmouth. That's I feel real comfortable fishing for smallmouth in Great Lakes, and that's not a Great Lake, but it could be. 10 Killer is going to be interesting. I think that's a smaller lake.
That's Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, Oklahoma to have 103 roughly people out there. That's going to be interesting. We start off.
They've been there before, though, right?
That's where Carl Jacobson won.
Yeah.
The last time they were there. But I don't know much about it. I haven't dove deep into the research of the schedule yet because we got plenty of time.
Yeah.
But starting off St. John's River, we're there this year. I was catching fry garters this year, so hopefully the fry garters are spawners when we come back in February, and they're all big and giants. But that'll be interesting. I think the Salt Springs where Corey Johnson won, that will be 15 boats up there. So I probably won't even look in there because I don't like bed fishing when there's 900 people around me. I like if you're bed fishing, I always like to be as far away as I can.
Yeah. Go for the late bloomers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, February, that'll be the first ones.
Yeah.
That'll be definitely like the first wave coming in pre-spawn. You'll be able to see a whole lot of different variables going on there, and that river is so big. So there's going to be a lot going on.
Yeah, it was kind of like interesting too with like talking about spawn with like when we were at the St. Lawrence for that derb, they were like completely spawned out from A Bay up, like
Yeah,
and Clayton was like on fire, like all they were thinking about was spawning.
yeah, a lot more
I
deep water in Clayton.
yeah, my beef
So
with the St. Lawrence is us launching so far away. Like it just
yeah,
boggles my mind. It's like, and this isn't like Tabas or MLF or NPFL or anybody in particular, but it's just Messina's a nice town. It's like some good restaurants and whatnot, and because we're at Messina too, like that's like
yeah,
on the MLF side. You guys launch out of Washington, yeah. At least you're like 20 minutes closer.
yeah. Messina is like 14 more miles
Yeah,
away, like 14 miles downriver beyond Wallington.
yeah. If you happen to be launching, they call your number when a ship happens to be going through the lock or something. It's just gonna be a rough
Hold
ride.
on, hold
Oh man.
on. Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's
what else was there? Wanted to ask you about. Oh, what else do you got new going on this year? Like before the season ends, do you got anything else behind the scenes you want to share with anybody?
I. I mean, I got some exciting news, but I'm not ready to break it yet. As far as
Okay.
next year and what's going on, definitely some exciting stuff happening. But maybe next couple weeks I'll break that out. But it's not set in stone yet, so I just want to keep it under wraps. Right now, I'm full blown tuna fishing, giant bluefin tuna fishing. I have a great time, great season with that so far. Um, Catching giants 3 miles from the beach, not very far off, and that's been a lot of fun. Um, but got a couple more tournaments left in New Hampshire. Going to fish with the old man. Just the old grassroots. Go right back to how we started fishing with Dad on the back of the boat and having fun while we're doing it. And
That's
that's
awesome.
about it. That's I love catching bass. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I love fishing the local level as well because it's not my job. Where when you show up to Elite Series tournament, that is your job, and you have to treat it as a job, and it gets grindy out there.
Yeah, it does.
And then you come and you start fishing a Saturday derby where you're putting $100 in the pot, and sure, $100 can be a lot, um, but it's fun. It's fun to go out there and see all the guys that you've been fishing against the last 5, 6, 7 years and just hanging out. What it should be.
That's why I like too. Like with some of the smaller, like I don't like doing a lot of like smaller tournaments. I like I got a 3-year-old and a 4-month-old. I got my hands full.
Oh,
I want
oh
to,
yeah, big
and
time.
then in the winter, like after the season's over, like in October for me, I just kind of want to do other stuff. Like there's other outdoors things that I like to do. I know a lot of guys that just want to go in a tree stand,
Yeah,
like that's it, and that like let them live up there in the tree, with
yeah,
a rifle or a bow, and do their thing for the next couple months. Like that's how I feel. I want to like decompress, kind of,
yeah.
when October rolls around. But I do like saltwater fishing. I grew up like surf fishing for stripers and bluefish and whatnot. I like doing that. But as far as like local derbs, there are a couple that like. I really like the Cashin derbs.
Yeah,
I have no
yeah.
affiliation with Cashin at all. It's just
They run
shot out of
a
a
good
big boat.
tournament.
Yeah, it's
I've
fun. It's
and it's very simple.
yeah,
Sign up online. Here's your boat number. See you in the morning.
and no
No
politics.
politics.
None whatsoever.
It's just and the first place prizes like usually 5 grand or 4 grand in those things. Like
Yeah,
it's a good chunk of change.
yeah, and they have like, and then they still for a lot of the boat manufacturers, there's contingency money. They qualify for contingency, but I think it depends on how the number of boats they
Yeah,
get.
yeah.
Um, Not all contingencies are equal per
Not
se, but
they're all created equal.
yeah, yeah, but they definitely qualify for several. I know I've run Phoenix, and first flight covers the cash and derbs.
Yeah.
They're fun. I like them.
Yeah.
I won a
Absolutely.
really cool painting one year, like contingency prize, but it's like all these buoys and stuff, that, like with the like dock rope,
Yeah.
just look really cool.
That's awesome.
For little man cave decoration.
There you go.
So next year is gonna be your sophomore year on the
Year
Elite Series,
two. Yeah, looking forward to it.
and
Um, I learned a lot this year. Spending I left my house. I left New Hampshire in February and January, and I didn't come home till July.
wow,
So I spent quite a bit of time down there, fishing down there, learning because the big thing with bass fishing is you always have to learn. Every single day you're outside, out on the water, you have to learn something. And the more you learn, the more you can start piecing stuff together, the more you see. Time on the water is the biggest thing. Like if you want to become a better fisherman, it's not sitting on the couch. It's spending time out on the water and just experiencing what you see. And so next year I'm pretty excited because I had a lot of really good one days in these Elite Series tournaments, but I didn't have a lot of good 2 days put together. And I think that's just the learning curve I was going through and whatever the plan was. But next year, hopefully going to put 2 or 3 good days together and then see what happens. But, they're the best in the world. It's tough. It's tough to compete, but I love competing against them. Makes you
yeah.
better.
That leads me to a good idea for a topic. Quick, with practice, with exploring new fisheries versus fisheries you already know and have like a good idea. Like if you were to go to Winnie tomorrow, like you could do like, and you had a decent sized tournament, like not an elite event, but you were to go
Yeah.
a couple hours practice, just putz around a little bit, you'd be dialed in. Same thing with me on my home lakes.
Yeah.
But at your level at the Elite Series with practice, do you feel there you could get like kind of say like too much practice, like where it might like because like if you would go to a lake that you've never been to before, and I'm going to experience that this year going to Kerr. I have never been to Kerr before. I'm going there for the championship for the BFLs in October. Well, I better be. I still got these 2 Potomac derbs. We had one like get canceled on Oneida, then they canceled on Champlain. Now they broke up the super tournament, and so we're gonna have a single day, and then the makeup is the other day down on the Potomac. So I got 2 derbs this weekend, but the neither here nor there. But going to Kerr, I feel like if I went there and I did good in practice, it should be like, okay, this is what I gotta do, like, and not like overthink it, because I'm going there with no preconceived notion. So you competing at a top tier level, going to some of these places, do you think you get too much practice, or like the practice you got, like your approach may have hurt you, or do you think you needed more practice on these fisheries and experience them more in depth before they call your boat number?
So our official practice is 3 days. Typically it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they're sun up to sundown days. And that's it, those 3. I go 28 days ahead of time before our off limits, and I always spend a week. And when I'm out there for that week, I'm not necessarily looking for spots as much as I'm looking to how to get around. I want to know how long it takes me to get from this creek to this creek, or this bridge to this bridge, or know where a boat lane is if you're in standing timber, like on Toledo Bend or Lake Fork, like knowing where a boat lane is where you can actually drive and not rip everything off your boat. So that's simply what I do in pre-practice. I like looking around, learn how to get around, and just to see every part of the lake, just put my eyeballs on it, see what it looks like. And obviously fish a little bit, but fishing really isn't my main goal when I'm there a month ahead of time because everything changes so much, especially in the springtime. 2 days will change. A day of big sunlight will change a day. It will change a fishery in the springtime. It will be completely different if you have one big day of sunshine. So I don't like trying to get into those preconceived notions as much as I just like looking around or side scan and be like, oh, well, that's a big, huge brush pile in 12 feet of water. So that could be a stopping point for when they're either going up the spawn or coming out off the spawn. So that's a good place I want to look at. So that's somewhere I'm going to double check. And during practice, it's more of just like I love establishing a home base. So in tournaments, some of the best tournaments I've ever done, I like having 3 spots or 4 spots that you can rotate. And if you're in those 3 or 4 spots and they're they're all close together, I call it home base. You need a home base because you don't want to fish one spot and then drive 10, 15 miles the other way to fish one more spot and then drive another 10 miles the other way. I always like trying to find as much as I can within one area where I can hit them 4, 5, 6 different times, bouncing back and forth the whole time, and waiting for those fish to either show up or replenish, or if you catch a good bag right away, I'll call it day 4 of practice because we only have 3 days of practice. You call it day 4. You go out for another day of practice and try and find more.
Gotcha. Now, do
So
you
that's
guys have the last day of practice though? Don't you guys have to like get off the water at a certain time for like a meeting or something?
we don't have meetings. We're all digital, so you get a text message and then an email that has your tournament briefing of like rules, regulations. This bridge is no wake. This is a no wake, even though it might not be marked, but that's a no wake. Stuff like that goes over everything you need to know. I always watch it while you're either eating dinner or retying baits.
Respooling.
Yeah, respooling and sitting it on the deck right next to you, listening to it while you're getting all your stuff ready for the next day.
Gotcha. Now, you ever in practice find something where you're like, oh no, like that was a bad hazard, like something that could have really went bad for you? Oh, Matt Robertson chimed in. He said, "You don't know nothing."
Yeah,
What's up, Matt? How you doing?
yeah, that's Kentucky coming at you right there.
I got to get Matt on here. Matt got to come on the Road All American.
Ugh.
We could talk. I know he is a hunter. We could talk about some off season business.
Yeah, he's got that boss sponsorship shooting some geese or ducks the other day over there. Something like that.
5 toes. What's up, brother? Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt called it, but he was supposed to beat Corey Johnston in the last turn of the year, but he came a little short of it, but so did I. So
Oh man. Oh boy. This is classic. This is awesome. That's what fishing's all about.
it's all about fun, or it's all the same. We're just at different levels. Everyone's at a little different level.
Yeah.
But everyone just loves catching bass and beating each other, going home with a trophy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Matt's a hammer. I like he did a video thing. It was him, another guy, and Seth, and it like the dude drops like a little Plano box, and weights went all over the boat deck, and he was like, "Oh man," Matt's picking him up. It was just hilarious. Like the whole video, it was like 3 minutes long or something.
Yeah. Can you still hear me all right? My phone's about to die, so I'm plugging in the charge.
Yeah, I get you good. It was called the Proper Bassmen. Proper.
Well, they have the Derby Boys now. That's what they got going on now. They just launched that at Ontario or Champlain.
The Derby Boys. Oh man,
it's eventful.
I gotta check it out. Yeah, he's a character.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. Yeah. No. What else do we gotta cover? We went over practice. Yeah, I was interested in hearing your take on practice because I saw you practice
Yeah.
in St. Lawrence, so I know you're very dedicated. No joke, no BS when it's time to put the work in. You put the work in for sure. The
Well, that was a spawn derby, so that's a little different.
yeah, but you gotta find all the beds.
Yeah.
The other thing that ticked me off with that tournament, I want to keep going back to this tournament, reliving an evil past, but
Just live in the past.
no, but every time I went to Clayton to launch, it was like 5-footers, 6-footers. I'm like, I can't be flogging in this. Like, and then one of the guys, because the Connecticut State team, everybody stays together. And then one of the guys was like, "What are you talking about? It was glass out there." I'm like, "Dude, I launched down like French Creek, and I come out around the marker, the channel marker, and it's like blowing." And he shows me a picture, and it's like glass calm in the background. He's holding up a 5-pounder. I'm like, killing me. So, but but yeah, that place gets violent. They sent us in a
Oh
BFL
yeah.
1 year, bro. Like guys got ejected. The co-anglers were ejected from boats. People lost power poles, motors. I had issues with my previous boat, and it was a disaster. Like that place gets big fast.
It gets aggressive. It definitely makes you respect how rough it can get out
Yeah,
there, and you always need to make sure your equipment is to the T on point before you head out in that water.
yeah. Champlain too. Champlain gets
Both of them. But Champlain, if it's a south or a north, it's bad. If it's anything other than that, you're fine. And then if you're fishing on Ontario, it's like it has to be 5 to 10 or else you're in for it.
yeah. Because you got two things. It acts like tidal. Like when the wind's blowing against the current, if you got a bad east wind, it could get rough there. And a bad
Yep.
west wind, you got however many hundreds of miles wide of Lake Ontario barreling down to Cape Vincent.
Oh yeah.
That's not
Yeah,
fun.
it gets fun.
How
If
does
you're into that kind of thing.
yeah no I'll take a hard
Oh,
pass. How's Winnipesaukee? Does that get rough?
nothing like a Great Lake. The roughest it gets is in the July 4th weekend when there's 900 wake boats going every single direction, and I call that the washing machine effect. It
Yeah,
just waves every direction, and it's miserable. But luckily, there's not a lot of tournaments there in the summertime anymore, so it's mostly just spring and fall, so you don't really have to worry about it that much.
yeah. The Candlewood's like that. Like from Memorial Day to Labor Day, it's a debacle,
Yeah,
for better words. It's I can't stand fishing like that. It's like these people have no idea what their boat's doing. Like they don't
no,
trim. It's like just hard plowing, throwing a 4-footer. Like
they
there's
launch their boat once a year and pull it out
yeah
of the water the other end of the year.
yeah. It's terrible. There needs to be I know I was reading recently that there's a couple lakes that they're working on banning wake boats.
Hmm.
Um popular lakes, tournament lakes. I
Really?
don't know them off the top of my head right now, but a quick Google search, there's like I've seen it like posts about it like in reels and whatnot. Guys have posted, but there's like a charged fight against them several fisheries. And I know like Connecticut, like we got another smaller lake, Little Nona, the whole shoreline's undermined. Like
Yeah.
you could park a bass boat underneath it. It's like what's holding the trees up.
Really?
The whole thing's undermined. When they did a drawdown, we had some bad storms a couple weeks back, and I think it was the remnants of the hurricane that came through the south. But it was in between. Well, I was at Champlain, and I came home, and then I went back up for St. Lawrence. That was it was that week, and they drew it down, and it's like way back up under there. It's undermined pretty bad,
Yeah.
and that's not from current. That's from the wake boats.
Wow. Yeah, that's no good.
No. It's bad for it erodes the shoreline.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost 8 o'clock. I got one last question for you.
Yeah.
What's your favorite fish to eat? And you got a recipe you want to share to the audience?
Oh. Well, I already told you guys bluefin tuna. So bluefin tuna, hands down, my favorite fish to eat. Great recipe. You take a loin of it. You cut it into about a 1-inch steak. You grab pre-peeled pistachios. This is a little different. You put them in a Ziploc bag or a blender. You crunch them up. Crust your tuna with it. 15 seconds aside. And then all you do is dip it in soy sauce and eat it. Pistachio crusted bluefin tuna.
Is that something you do on the boat?
Oh, on the boat? Like which boat? The tuna boat or this boat?
Like do you have a little grill and sear them and have some on the way back to port?
Not on the boat, because having soy sauce on a tuna boat's bad luck.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, so you can name the boat soy sauce, but you can't have soy sauce on the boat. That's like bringing a banana with you.
I was just about to mention the banana.
But that is my favorite fish to eat, hands down. I could have it breakfast, lunch, and dinner and have zero problems.
Pistachio crusted. You ever try the pistachio crusted deal on any other fish? Salmon?
I haven't. Well, I'm sure it'd be good, but I just keep it straight to bluefin at this point. I like
try this
cornflake walleye. That one's pretty good.
Frosted flake,
like the cornflake, the cereal.
regular cornflakes.
Yeah, regular cornflakes. Coat a walleye, put walleye fillets or walleye nuggets, and then fry it. I mean, nothing's bad when you fry it. It's always good.
You know what's funny? Walleye. Every time I catch a walleye, it's in the tournament.
Right in the cooler. Put it in the cooler. You're fine.
In the cooler. No, because I want to throw it in a live well that I'm thinking, and just like I got the ice, and I have kind of it's not a small cooler, but I bring a lot of drinks and everything, and if the co-volunteer the cooler or the co-angler, and it's always during a tournament, and I'm like, one day I'm gonna catch one of these in practice, and then this year I stayed with Maurice Hudson and Reese Tremaglio. We shared a cabin for the Champlain Toyota series.
Yeah.
And Maurice, I was on the phone with him. He was like, "Yeah, I got some. You eat lake trout?" And I was like, "Not really, per se." He was like, "Well, I got some lake trout and walleye." I was like, "I'll eat the walleye. I've never had it."
Yeah, absolutely.
I was like, every time we catch it, it's in the tournament, so I never get to eat it. So he was like, "All right." So he kept on me. He cooked them up. I don't know what his recipe was, but it was good. And I was like, "This is all right." I'm impressed. I'm sold. Walleye might be the best tasting fish. Freshwater fish.
Freshwater, I believe so. It's one of my favorites. Freshwater.
Oh wait, you're from New Hampshire. My cousin, he's hardcore into ice fishing, right? And he goes Cusk.
Yeah.
He goes
Burbot.
So he goes to New Hampshire, and there's like a special way, like by regulation of how you have to catch these things or whatever. And I'm like, he showed me a picture of it. I was like, dude, it's a snakehead or a bowfin.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, it's the cusk.
Eel.
And I'm like, it looks like the same thing.
Yeah. That's called, the nickname for it's poor man's lobster. So if you fillet it, the meat on it is the same exact texture as a lobster. So it's very good to put into like a fish chowder or a clam chowder because it tastes just like lobster.
It tastes like a saltwater fish, basically, but it's
freshwater. Yeah, they live on the bottom their entire lives, so their meat is so under the pressure of 60 to 150 feet of water their entire lives, and in the wintertime, it's really the only time you can catch them.
Yeah.
But
they're interesting.
They're delicious to eat.
Yeah, he was telling me about it. I'm looking at the pictures he showed me, and I'm like, dude, that looks just like a snakehead.
Yep. But you clean it, and the fillets are some of the cleanest meat you'll see. You'll never find a worm in it. You'll never see anything gross in it whatsoever.
Parasites or anything.
It is so clean. because they live so deep their entire life that everything else dies around them.
That's interesting.
Yep.
What is there any fish like local freshwater fish that you like to eat?
I mean, yellow perch and white perch in the wintertime.
Gotcha.
I
You
make
do a
fishing.
lot of ice fishing?
I do. I used to before the Elite Series, uh, but I love fish tacos.
Who
So
doesn't?
what?
Who
Yeah,
doesn't?
but I'll do fried white perch or fried yellow perch. Throw a couple fillets in there, some coleslaw, some cheese, maybe a little bit of sriracha, some salsa, and
There you go.
call it a day.
I got to come hang out with you.
Oh, oh, I eat well, no matter what. No matter where we're going, we're eating well. That's one thing for certain.
Five Toads asked, how about crappie and bluegills?
Oh, absolutely. So I like eating bluegills, but they're a pain to clean. Pain to clean. That's a little bit harder to get all the meat off of them. And then bluegill or crappie are good, but I like yellow perch more.
Yellow perch is
That's
good.
That's a hot take because a lot of people are going to disagree, but I like yellow perch more. It's a little bit sweeter.
They call here, I've heard perch be referred to as a poor man's shrimp.
Yep. Yeah. I'm a fan.
Yellow perch, I saw a
They're-
thing. I gotta try it. It was like cleaning them. You instead of like filleting them or anything because they're so bony, is like you do the plier thing like and skin them
Yeah.
versus do like you hold them out. However you do it, you gotta like cut the head and then you take the whole skin everything off with with a pair of pliers, just like you do like I guess people do that with catfish and eels.
Yeah. I've never tried that way. I always just the regular down the back behind the gills and out through the tail.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, it's called a wrap. I appreciate you coming
All
on.
right.
Is there any
Drive safe the rest of your trip. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us for this hour.
Yeah.
It was a blast.
You got any sponsors you want to shout out before we hop off here?
I mean, I got all the sponsors.
Do it.
You know, that's the only reason why I'm allowed to fish the Elite Series, and every single one of them is right back here on this boat. You
Looking
know,
clean.
looking clean, somewhat clean. It was a rough year out there, but yeah, it's been a blast, and I couldn't do it without them. So if you guys want to check them out, go visit my page, check it out. I got all the deets on there.
Yeah, shout out Bass Fishing Electronics, Steve Vesties. They hooked me up this year. I threw a Helix and a 360 on my boat. First time running in 360 ever. Grabbed one this year. Shout those guys out. Yeah,
Good people up there.
Yeah, good dudes. I'm trying to think
Steve,
of
Mark, and Brian. Brian's the head installer there.
I forgot they have a shop too.
Full shop.
Yeah.
So if you don't feel like tools for me is basically a screwdriver and electrical tape. If you're like me, you can just call them and you just drop the boat off and it's like magic. You come pick it up and everything you want on it's on there.
There you go. All right, brother. Well, thanks for joining me.
Appreciate
it. All right, man. I'll talk to you.
All right, talk to you
Later.